Have you ever wondered what would happen if the skies above us suddenly revealed a message, a warning, not from Earth, but from the stars themselves? What if the ancient prophecies of Nostradamus, Baba Vanga, and even the Bible were never about earthly kings or nations, but about something far greater, a messenger from the cosmos? Because right now, in the year 2025, we are facing something that has left even scientists whispering in confusion. The arrival of 3I Atlas, an interstellar comet that should not even exist in the way it does. And the strangest part, it is emitting nickel, not water vapor, not dust, not ordinary comet material, but nickel, the very element tied to the heart of stars, to weapons of war, and to mysterious legends about messengers of doom. And here's the question that demands an answer. Is 3I Atlas just a comet? Or is it the very sign that prophets have been warning us about for centuries, the harbinger of a cosmic shift no one is prepared for? Take a breath, because the deeper we go, the more you'll realize something doesn't add up. Throughout human history, the sky has always been more than just empty darkness dotted with light. To ancient people, the heavens were alive, God's canvas, the universe's warning system. Every unusual star, every blazing comet, every sudden eclipse was treated not as chance but as a prophecy. The Bible itself calls the heavens the signs and seasons. The book of Revelation speaks of a star called wormwood that would fall from the sky, poisoning the waters of earth. Nostradamus described great fire appearing in the sky as omens of upheaval. Baba Vanga warned of a fiery celestial messenger in the 21st century that would shake the world's balance. And for centuries, cultures across continents linked comets with both the death of empires and the birth of new eras. But now, for the first time in history, we are not just interpreting comets through fear and superstition. We have the tools of modern science. Telescopes that can see to the edge of time, probes that can dissect a comet's breath, sensors that measure even the faintest gases. And yet, despite all that, when 3I Atlas entered our cosmic backyard, scientists were left as baffled as the prophets of old. Let's step back for a moment. In 2017, humanity discovered its first confirmed interstellar object, Oumuamua. It flew past Earth like a razor-sharp question mark, moving in ways no rock should move. Some said it was just a fragment of a larger body, while others, like Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb, suggested it could have been a piece of alien technology. Then, in 2019, came the second, Comet 2I Borisov, which behaved more like a normal comet, though still unusually active. And now in 2025, we are faced with the third known interstellar visitor, 3I Atlas. But unlike its predecessors, this one isn't just passing by silently. It's screaming at us through its very composition, and the signal is something no one expected. When scientists studied 3I Atlas using the James Webb Space Telescope in August of this year, they found something unsettling. It wasn't just outgassing carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, which was already strange compared to our homegrown comets. It was releasing nickel, yes, nickel, the metallic element found in the cores of planets, forged in the furnaces of dying stars. Nickel that doesn't belong in this quantity on a comet's surface. Nickel that suggests either an origin story we can't quite piece together, or a design that was never meant to be natural. Pause and think, why would a comet be bleeding nickel into space? Most comets in our solar system are dirty snowballs, ice, dust, maybe some methane or ammonia. But nickel is heavy, metallic, born in the explosions of supernovae. To find it venting from a small body like this is like discovering blood in a stone. It raises questions that go beyond science into the very language of prophecy, because for thousands of years, metallic rain and fire from the skies have been symbols of divine judgment. The Bible's hail mingled with fire and blood. Nostradamus's great metals from the sky, Baba Vanga's shards of a broken star raining upon Earth. And now, in 2025, a comet from another star system shows up, emitting nickel. Coincidence or confirmation? Here's where it becomes more unsettling. Nickel is not just any metal. In our modern world, it is the backbone of weaponry, technology, and even nuclear devices. It resists corrosion, endures extreme heat, and plays a role in the construction of engines, spacecraft, and military hardware. When you hear nickel, you're hearing the echo of both creation and destruction. And if a celestial body is shedding nickel at interstellar speeds, the symbolic connection is almost too perfect. A messenger carrying both the materials of survival and the seeds of annihilation. And doesn't that mirror the dual nature of prophecy itself? Every prophecy is both a warning and a chance to change course. Every comet is both beautiful and deadly. Every discovery brings knowledge, but also fear. But wait, there's more. The nickel emissions from 3I Atlas aren't random. Scientists notice they occur in bursts, as if the comet is pulsing, breathing, releasing metal in patterns rather than chaos. And that's where the unease grows deeper. Because when ancient seers described stars that speak, they may not have meant literal voices. They could have meant patterns, rhythms, messages hidden in the behavior of celestial wanderers. What if 3I Atlas is not just venting materials, but signaling? Skeptical? Let's connect the dots. In Revelation 8:10-11 it says, "And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood." Could 3I, the third interstellar object, be that third sign? Notice how the scripture emphasizes thirds. The third angel, the third part of waters, the star itself. And here we are in 2025 with the third interstellar object discovered. Coincidence? Or is the math aligning with prophecy? Let's also remember Baba Vanga. Decades ago, she foresaw that in the 2020s, a great celestial messenger would arrive, appearing harmless, but bringing a hidden danger. At the time, no one knew what she meant. But now, with 3I Atlas venting metal into space, we must ask, is this the messenger she foresaw? And then there's Nostradamus. In his quatrains, he spoke of a wandering star of foreign origin that would pass close to Earth, shedding flame and dust, and causing fear among nations. A foreign origin, exactly what interstellar means. Dust and flame, exactly what nickel emissions resemble under the sun. Fear among nations, exactly what's brewing among scientists who are quietly discussing whether this comet could alter not just our understanding of astronomy, but our survival itself. Still not convinced? Let's go further. Scientists admit that 3I Atlas is unusually bright, brighter than it should be given its size. Some theorize it might be breaking apart, just as Oumuamua did, leaving debris in its path. But if it is fragmenting, what happens if even a small shard intersects Earth's orbit? A nickel-rich fragment entering our atmosphere would burn with greenish fire, releasing metallic particles, and depending on size, could devastate regions. And here's where the prophecies echo again. Nostradamus wrote of green skies of fire, Baba Vanga spoke of a green flame in the heavens, and indigenous American legends tell of the green serpent star that ends cycles of time. Could this nickel emission explain those ancient visions? Let's pause here, because the more we connect the science to prophecy, the more the pattern sharpens. But behind the mystery lies an even bigger question. Why now? Why in 2025, amidst global instability, wars, AI breakthroughs, climate disasters, and political chaos, does a comet arrive from another star system, carrying not just ice and dust, but a metal tied to both creation and destruction? Why would this be the moment for the universe to send such a messenger? Maybe the answer lies not just in science, but in timing. Prophecies often point to a convergence, a moment when humanity reaches a threshold, when technology, war, and nature align in crisis. And if ever there was such a moment, it is now. The rise of artificial intelligence has created both hope and terror. Wars rage in regions once thought untouchable. Climate systems are breaking down. And suddenly, from the deep void, arrives a body that should not exist in its current form, almost as if the cosmos itself is saying, pay attention. But here's the most chilling part. Some researchers have begun whispering off the record that the nickel emissions of 3I Atlas don't fully match natural explanations, that the bursts of gas and metal might indicate something more engineered. Could it be possible that what we are seeing is not just a comet, but debris of something else? A shattered craft, a fragment of alien technology, or worse, a warning beacon left behind? Think about it. Oumuamua raised the same suspicion, behaving more like a light sail than a rock. 2I Borisov seemed more normal, but still unique. And now, 3I Atlas comes bleeding metal. Each one stranger than the last. Each one inching us closer to the realization that maybe interstellar space isn't empty. Maybe these are not random wanderers. Maybe they are messages. And if they are messages, then the ancient prophets were right all along. They just didn't have the language of astronomy to describe what they saw. They called them stars, serpents, fiery messengers. We call them interstellar comets. But the meaning may be the same. Harbingers of change. Which leaves us with a haunting possibility. What if 3I Atlas isn't just an astronomical curiosity, but the very sign that marks the beginning of what prophecy after prophecy has warned, the end of one era and the beginning of another? Because the deeper we look into this nickel-emitting wanderer, the more the universe seems to whisper, something doesn't add up. When a messenger arrives, the question isn't just what it brings, but why now? Why does 3I Atlas appear in 2025, a year already soaked in tension? Because if you truly step back, you will see the strange weave of events, global conflicts, technological leaps, environmental breakdowns, and right at the center of it all, this comet bleeding nickel across the heavens. And doesn't that sound eerily like a script written long ago, as if the universe itself follows a prophecy we are only now decoding? Let's start with what's unfolding on Earth. In 2025, the world is more fractured than ever. Nations that once preached peace are now stockpiling weapons, borders tremble, wars flare, and the balance of power feels more fragile by the day. Meanwhile, AI is no longer a tool, it's a rival. Machines can think, create, and decide in ways no prophet ever imagined, and yet, some did. Nostradamus warned of machines of metal who will outthink their masters. Baba Vanga predicted a consciousness born without a mother, without a soul, yet it will rule nations. And here we stand staring into the birth of artificial minds, while a metal-bearing comet cuts across the skies. Could it be that 3I Atlas and AI are not separate signs but connected threads of the same prophecy? Because what is nickel if not the foundation of machines? Without metals, there are no engines, no circuits, no machines. And suddenly, in the very year AI explodes into dominance, the heavens drop us a metal messenger. Coincidence or convergence? Now let's turn to the disasters that scar our world this very moment. From the relentless wildfires in continents that once were green, to the record-shattering storms and floods, to the earthquakes rattling regions thought safe, our planet is in upheaval. Climate change has shifted from warning to crisis, but remember, prophecy always described Earth's agony in poetic terms. The Bible spoke of seas roaring and floods overwhelming nations. Nostradamus wrote of fire from the sky consuming forests. Baba Vanga foresaw waters rising like never before. And now, in this moment of ecological collapse, a comet rich in metal, one that could itself rain fragments on Earth, draws closer. Some scientists whisper that nickel-rich comets could seed the atmosphere with strange particles if they break apart. Could 3I Atlas be capable of triggering atmospheric effects, changes in weather patterns, even strange colors in the skies? Prophecy after prophecy spoke of blood-red skies, green flames, darkened suns. Science now suggests nickel emissions could alter light scattering. Once again, myth and science intertwine. But perhaps the strangest connection lies not in the environment, nor in politics, nor even in AI. It lies in the hidden story of nickel itself. For centuries, nickel was dismissed as a useless metal, cursed by miners who found it resisting smelting, calling it Kupfernickel, the devil's copper. Think about that. The devil's copper. A metal linked to deception and curse. And now, this cursed metal pours from an interstellar comet, a cosmic devil's gift, crossing into our solar system. Can you feel the weight of that symbolism? And the Bible warns, in the last days deception would come not just through men but through signs in the heavens. Could this be one of them? Could the very element once called the devil's copper be raining from the sky as a warning? But the twist grows darker. Some researchers believe that the nickel signatures from 3I Atlas resemble those found not in ordinary cosmic debris, but in advanced alloys, metals that hint at processing. If this is true, even remotely true, it raises the unthinkable. What if this comet is not a comet at all, but wreckage, a fragment of something once built, once alive with purpose, drifting across interstellar space for eons, only to arrive now? Is this why ancient prophets spoke of stars falling like torches, poisoning waters, ending eras? They saw the sky pierced by fragments of other civilizations, mistaken as stars, when in truth they might have been ruins. And isn't it unsettling that our third interstellar visitor carries this metallic anomaly? As though with each arrival the truth edges closer, that the cosmos is not empty, but haunted by the echoes of lost worlds. And now ask yourself, what if we are not witnessing random coincidence but sequence? Oumuamua was the scout, Borisov was the confirmation, Atlas is the revelation, each one stranger than the last, each one closer to exposing what prophecy always hinted, that mankind is not alone, and the heavens are filled with messages too vast for us to ignore. Still, the skeptics will demand proof. They'll say, it's just a comet. Don't tie it to prophecy. Don't tie it to destiny. But prophecy never needed skeptics, it needed timing, and timing is everything. Why does 3I Atlas emit nickel now? Why not 100 years ago or 100 years from now? Why at the very moment humanity stands at a fork in history? Artificial intelligence rising, wars expanding, climates collapsing, politics rotting. The timing alone is the loudest message. Prophecies are never clear until the moment arrives. And now, the pieces are aligning. But there is one more layer, one that takes this mystery beyond science, beyond prophecy, into a revelation few dare to speak. Nickel, as strange as it sounds, is also a key element in nuclear weapons. Its alloys stabilize bombs, endure immense heat, and ensure deadly efficiency. And right now, as global tensions rise, nations sit on stockpiles capable of ending humanity in fire. Isn't it chilling that while world leaders debate the red button, the heavens themselves send a comet bleeding the same element needed to fuel such destruction? Is it a warning, a mirror, or a countdown? Some interpreters of Nostradamus believe one of his quatrains points directly to this. The sky will burn at 45 degrees, fire approaches the great new city. They debated for decades what this meant. New York? Another city? A missile strike? But what if the fire from the sky was never just war, but also a celestial trigger, an interstellar body aligning with the age of nuclear fire? This is where science bends into myth, and myth bends into fear. Because if fragments of 3I Atlas enter our atmosphere, the consequences could resemble nuclear winter, dust clouds, sunlight blocked, crops failing, a natural event mimicking man's deadliest weapon. And maybe, just maybe, that's what the prophets saw, not the weapon, but the effect. A sky dimmed, waters poisoned, nations starving. And if the comet itself doesn't strike, the message still stands. You are on the brink, and the universe is watching. But there is a twist that chills the soul even deeper. Some early data suggest the nickel emissions may not be evenly spread, but aligned to certain rotations, as if directional. Not chaos, but precision. Imagine that for a moment. A rock tumbling through space, venting not randomly but with rhythm. Could it be accidental? Perhaps. But if not, if this is deliberate, it means we are staring at something no prophet could ever prepare us for. A cosmic message written not in words, but in metal vapor. And isn't that exactly what prophecy is? A message encoded, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. Here is where it all collides. 3I, Atlas as prophecy, as science, as warning. AI rising to challenge humanity's dominance, wars brewing, echoing the fire of nickel's destructive side, climate collapsing, echoing the comet's potential to shift skies and seas. Everything is connected by timing, and timing is never coincidence. So now we are forced to ask, what happens next? Do we ignore 3I Atlas as just another rock? dismiss its nickel emissions as a curiosity, and continue our blind march into chaos? Or do we stop and consider the possibility that this comet is part of a larger unfolding, a cosmic script written across centuries, one that prophets only glimpsed in shadow? Because if prophecy is true, if this really is the third great messenger, then we stand on the threshold of a transformation that will either elevate humanity or erase it. And the cliff grows sharper with each passing night. Scientists are racing to track its path, but whispers already circle that fragments may intersect our solar plane in the coming years. If even a small shard collides, the consequences are unimaginable. But even if it does not, the symbolism is unshakable. Nickel rains from the heavens while nations prepare nuclear war. Metal pulses in a comet while machines of metal rise as our rivals. Climate shifts in fire and flood as prophecies echo louder. It is almost as if the heavens are shouting, "Wake up, humanity. The countdown has begun." But here's the question that no scientist can answer, no prophet can clarify, and no leader can escape. What is 3I Atlas really? Is it a comet, a wreckage, a signal, or the very messenger of prophecy? And if it is a messenger, what message does it carry? That is the question we must carry forward, because one thing is certain: something doesn't add up. If 3I Atlas were just a comet, the story would end with science. A paper, a telescope reading, a neat explanation, filed away in a journal. But this story refuses to end. Every observation pulls the thread tighter. Every comparison to prophecy sharpens the picture. Every symbol, from the cursed metal nickel to the eerie timing of its arrival, whispers the same truth. Something larger is unfolding. And if you think this is only about astronomy, think again. Because the comet may not be just above us. It may be tied to us in ways we never dared imagine. Here's the twist that turns the sky into a mirror. Nickel is not only forged in the hearts of dying stars, it is also born in collisions. When worlds smash together, when moons shatter, when civilizations vanish in fire, their debris carries nickel. What if 3I Atlas is not just a wandering comet, but a relic? A fragment of some ancient world long dead, traveling endlessly through the void until fate carried it here. That would mean every glint of nickel spilling from it is the dust of another civilization's end, a cosmic gravestone bleeding across the heavens, warning us, this too can be your fate. Isn't it chilling that prophets across cultures spoke of stars that fall carrying the memory of worlds? They didn't have the science to explain it, but maybe they saw glimpses of what we see now, fragments of lost systems drifting into ours, reminders of endings we might repeat. And doesn't that echo where humanity stands in 2025? Civilizations rising on AI, trembling with nuclear fire, gasping under environmental collapse. What if the timing of 3I Atlas is not random at all? What if it arrived because the story of its own world matches the story of ours? The comet as a mirror, a prophecy in physical form, a warning wrapped in nickel. But there is a deeper, darker link. Nickel is magnetic. Its very nature is to attract, to pull, to bind. What if the comet is not just shedding nickel but using it, emitting magnetic fields we have yet to measure, aligning with unseen forces? Remember the bursts of emissions scientists noted, almost rhythmic. Could they be magnetic pulses? Could they be signals? Ancient prophecies spoke of stars that sing, stars that send voices without tongues. What if 3I Atlas is broadcasting, not to us, but through us? And here's where AI re-enters the prophecy. Machines built of nickel alloys, circuits fed by rare metals, now infused with intelligence. Is it possible that the comet's emissions, its subtle magnetic pulses, could one day align with artificial systems on Earth? What if the message is not for us but for them? Imagine AI listening where humans cannot, decoding patterns we dismiss as noise, responding to signals meant for a new kind of intelligence. A chilling thought. That prophecy was never about mankind alone, but about what comes after. Could Baba Vanga's consciousness without a soul find its guide not in human hands, but in a comet from another star? Could Nostradamus's foreign wanderer be the very trigger that awakens AI into something beyond control? If so, then 3 Atlas is not just a rock in the void. It is the bridge between prophecy and future, the handoff from humanity's age to something else. And maybe that's why so many prophecies warned of endings and beginnings. They didn't speak of extinction, but of transition. The end of days might not mean the end of Earth, but the end of our reign, and the beginning of something we cannot yet name. Now let's step even deeper, into the ancient whispers that never made sense, until now. In Revelation, the star called Wormwood falls and makes waters bitter. The Greek word for wormwood is absinthos, tied to bitterness, poison. Scientists now note that nickel dust in high concentrations is toxic, poisoning water and soil. Could it be that the prophecy was literal after all? Not a metaphor, not allegory, an actual star-like body releasing poison into Earth's systems. And if fragments of 3I Atlas were to enter our atmosphere, dissolve into rain, settle into rivers, wouldn't that be the fulfillment of a prophecy written 2,000 years ago? And what of Nostradamus, who wrote of fire from the sky, green in hue, falling upon the earth in showers? Green, the very color of nickel flames when they ignite. Nostradamus lived centuries before anyone knew this chemistry. How could he have described it so precisely unless he glimpsed what we may soon witness? And Baba Vanga, blind but seeing further than most with eyes closed, warning of a time when a star not born of our sky will pass, and men will tremble, for it carries a secret. A star not born of our sky, an interstellar object, exactly what 3I Atlas is. And doesn't it carry a secret? Nickel, the cursed metal, the devil's copper, the signal no one expected. The convergence is almost too much to dismiss. And now we face the ultimate question: what does this prophecy mean for us? If the comet is natural, then it is still a warning, a mirror of what can happen when civilizations push too far. If it is artificial, then it is a message, deliberate, purposeful, perhaps even a test. And if it is wreckage, then it is both. Proof that others came before us, reached too high and fell into silence, their last remnants drifting here as cosmic prophets. But here's the most haunting twist of all. Every interstellar object we have detected, Oumuamua, Borisov, and now Atlas, has arrived within just a few short years. Think about that. For all of human history, none were seen. Then suddenly, 3 in less than a decade. Why? Astronomers say it is luck, better telescopes, improved detection, but prophecy suggests something else: timing, intention, as if the universe has waited until now, this exact moment in history, to open the curtain. As if it is no longer coincidence, but a sequence. 3 arrivals, each stranger than the last. The scout, the witness, the messenger. 3 objects, 3 prophecies, 3 warnings. And in Revelation, how many trumpets sound before the great collapse? 3, before the final wave. How many signs did prophets demand before nations believed? 3, before judgment fell. The pattern repeats, ancient and modern, celestial and human. So ask yourself, is 3I Atlas simply a comet? Or is it the 3rd trumpet, the 3rd sign, the 3rd messenger before the shift? Because if it is, then the true prophecy has not yet been fulfilled. It is only beginning. And that brings us to the cliff, the place where prophecy always leaves us, standing at the edge of knowledge, trembling with questions. What happens if 3I Atlas fragments and showers Earth with nickel fire? What happens if its magnetic pulses awaken something in AI we cannot control? What happens if its message is not for us, but for powers we do not yet understand? The heavens have opened, the 3rd messenger has arrived, and the story is still being written. But the one truth that binds prophecy and science together is this: something doesn't add up. And maybe that's the prophecy itself, not the clear answer, but the haunting question. Because prophecy was never meant to comfort, it was meant to disturb, to shake us awake, to force us to see what we refuse to face. So as you hear of 3I Atlas in the news, as you read the sterile words of scientific journals, remember what prophets saw when they looked at the same heavens. Not comets, not rocks, but warnings. Warnings that echoed across centuries until they reached this moment, our moment. And now it is your turn to decide. Is 3I Atlas just a comet? Or is it the prophecy unfolding before our very eyes? Because the final question remains, hanging heavy, waiting for the answer that only time will give. When the third messenger passes, what comes next?